So I am back. I am back. I am back after not posting for I don't know how long, but I decided to make this video just because I just want to share, what has been happening to me of my life over the course of the past few weeks, few months. I think for this year even. And the reason why I want to share because it is so dramatic that if I do not share what has happened, I'm afraid that I might be a completely different person if you were to see me 3 months, 6 months later, 1 year later. So I just decided to just document down, and it's always nice to look back of what has happened and my thought processes also. But today specifically, I want to share my story and how my entrepreneurship journey, marketing journey as well, has made me journey on a very complicated and a roller coaster ride, which eventually got me to ask the question and seek what truth really is. So don't mind me if I sound a bit too in the clouds, but I just want to share my story, which will take maybe, I don't know, 3-4 minutes, maybe even more. But I just want to share my story because if you don't understand my context, where I come from, my perspective, you will not really see me as I am. But I just really want to share this story with you, and hopefully, if it resonates, maybe it helps you out as well. I don't know, but I just want to really share this and just have an urge of sharing, and I just want to share it right here in this video. Okay, so let's start. So in 2019, I actually left school, university. I left SMU for actually two reasons. Number one is to focus on my marketing business, because I realized I found the things that I was studying in SMU very irrelevant to what I wanted to do, which was marketing, and it was a genuine passion that I had. Right. Number two is I realized I was able to bring my business a decent income, and I thought if that this could sustain, I would actually be ahead financially if I left school and focus on this, right? And as a 21, 22-year-old back then, I'm currently 25 this year. I was just a young man full of energy who didn't have much experience or insights into life. I was just very just naively hungry to grow my wealth so that I can put it back to investments that would further compound my wealth or my money in the stock market, and hopefully be able to semi-retire by 30. I don't know. But it seemed like, I thought that I could kind of figure out life, right? Or at least I thought. So in order for my business to grow, the team had to grow as well. So back then, my team was about 4 or 5 people, and I had to grow in order for my company to grow. I cannot be fully reliant on me of managing every aspect of the business. I had to, in order for my business to grow, the team size had to grow as well, right? But the problem was that, number one, I did not have much leadership experience growing up. Number one. Number two, I was a huge introvert, and I found it so hard to communicate with people, right? And with a team in place, there was suddenly a lot of responsibilities that were stacked on my shoulders. For example, team culture, direction, finance, incentives, leadership, and so much more, right? Operations, and the responsibilities of a founder is just never ending, right? There's so much to work on, there's just so much to improve, so much to do. And I was spending most of my waking hours working, Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 a.m. until 12 a.m. It's nuts. Thinking about how to solve my business and my clients' problem. It's just pure stress 24/7. And the reason why is because I was so caught up with work, and at the same time, I did not have any time for myself. Neither did I had a social life, right? And even while having meals with my friends, when I catch up with them sometimes, or with my family, I was completely not present at all. I was just sacrificing so much. Everything that was in my mind was all money, business, myself, self-interest, and very, very selfish, right? And I was just sacrificing so much of my time, and I often convince myself that it's all going to pay off one day. It's all going to be worth it, right? And one day, one of my team members started asking me, "So Ted, what is the mission of this company?" I mean, every business out there has a mission, right? So what is your mission of this company? What is the mission of this company? And obviously, I couldn't tell them, that this whole mission of the company is to grow my own wealth, which was actually one of the reasons why I started the company, why I left school even also. But obviously that would come off selfish and obviously unexciting to work for. I mean, who wants to work for a boss who only wants to benefit himself, right? So I came up with a temporary mission statement to give my team at least a direction that we all could work on together, and that would at least buy me some time to find a mission that I would want to be part of genuinely, and a mission that would want to like kind of like suffer for and sacrifice my time for. Make sense? And this was also necessary. If you're familiar with business, you know that a mission statement is absolutely necessary in order to attract talents, have a North Star in terms of its direction as well. So the sooner I had this, the better. And perhaps also finding a mission strong enough to justify whatever suffering that I was facing in the company, right? Obviously, why I say suffering, because again I was an introvert. I hated meetings. I hated talking to people. I must say I hate talking to people, but I generally they like to nurture people, talk about their career. I mean, that wasn't very natural to me. And in the interim, I tried to come up with all sorts of mission statements that sounded nice, right? Like for example, to normalize financial education in Asia, or to help people find the right financial education coach. All of them sounded noble, and it was something that could have made a good mission statement. But here was the big fat problem, right? Every now and then, I had many times psychoed myself that could be a mission worth suffering for. And the moment it sounded like a big and worthy enough challenge, I would feel an adrenaline rush, right? Like a shot of espresso at 5 a.m. in the morning. I would have thought like, oh, finally this must be my mission. This is finally my life's mission. I found it. But the dangerous part is that what I realized was that I was often the victim of my own lies. Worst, it took me some time before I realized I was a victim, not the hero. Without careful introspection, I realized it's not easy to be able to see through my own lies, because every day I was, and still am, bombarded by the opinions of others, by envy, by the desire to please people, right? And it becomes incredibly tough. I mean, just look at the human heuristics, which I'll link to a separate video or a separate article. We humans encounter many different forces, many different desires that is not intrinsic, but it's more extrinsic or more external. For example, pleasing people. The reason why I'm building this business because I want to look good in front of people, not because I think that is my mission, but because I just want to look good in front of people, and hence I want to build $1 million or multi-million-dollar business. And all the times we are influenced by all these different quote-unquote forces, right? And it therefore becomes incredibly tough to see through my own very lies, unless I spend a lot of time introspecting, which I did. And as someone who integrates my business and life very synchronously, if you told me that my life's mission was to normalize a financial education in Asia, I just could not disagree more on how incongruent that would be to me, right? Because I would ask myself, so why me, right? I am young, don't have much business experience. I mean, 3 years is not very long. Why is this important? Why does it have to be normalized? Why does it have to exist in the world? And as a small business owner, as an owner in a small company, the business mission is, I kind of see it as my own life mission, right? Because I spend majority of my time in the business or on the business, and majority of my thinking mental capacity is also always on the business. So do I really want to spend my whole life sacrificing for something so meaningless, right? If I find that normalizing financial education is meaningless, that means my life is meaningless. So it's kind of incongruent in that sense, and it's a life very frighteningly wasted if I would to really pursue it. And what I realized is that some entrepreneurs might be fine working on a mission that sounded nice, even though not genuine. I'm not here to judge, but I just could not in any way see that I could commit myself to something like this. And this was the start of things where things went very wrong. And if you look back at my YouTube channel, you see that I've basically been on a roller coaster ride, spiraling to depression sometimes, losing the meaning of life, right? And I also chanced upon this video, which talks a bit about competition and business in general. But I don't bore you with all the details, but I want to keep it short. And in short, in business, the fact that you are faced with many competition in this marketplace I start to realize, what's the significance of my business? Actually, if my business don't exist, it doesn't make any difference. The world would not notice a thing, right? And that got me to realize, actually, my business had no meaning, and then maybe my life had no meaning as well, because I also kind of saw my business as me. We are one, right? But obviously, I mean, that is not the right way to think about it. But that was how I saw things as it is previously, and I spiraled into depression because it affected all areas of my life, not just business. I mean, just on the business sense, it did make me feel depressed, but the worst thing or the dangerous thing was that it affected how I saw things in every single way. So for example, I was walking back from an exercise. It was in the evening, and I saw this old woman in a wheelchair. Not to say that she was in a bad or uncomfortable position or in need of help or anything, but I was just thinking to myself, like, if she had a need, if she was in need to get help or something, then again I would start asking myself, right, like, what's the purpose of this? Like, why me? Why do I have to help her? What's the significance of it? Why is it important? And I saw this mindset affected all areas of my life. I had no excitement, I had no drive, I had no meaning in life anymore, right? And that, I found it was a very unhealthy period of my life, which was actually not too long ago. And so I also sought out different opinions of many people in search of help. Why am I feeling this way? Is it normal? Is it part of the entrepreneurship journey? I don't know. Is it just me? Is it a mental, psychological issue that I have to get fixed or what? I don't know. So I sought some friends who are in the entrepreneurship space as well, and many of them also gave many different of their opinions, which I still respect them a lot for that, and respect their opinions as well. But one of the interesting concepts which they shared was that, so long you're doing what you're passionate in life, like, that's fine, like, that is the purpose of life. And I thought about it, and I realized it did not make sense. Living my life with a sole purpose of for passion will actually lead to emptiness, right? And I actually wrote down my thoughts why in a blog, but let me just share with you very, very quickly. So my thought process, what's the difference between someone who lives life passionately versus a hamster happily running on the hamster wheel? What is the difference between someone who lives life passionately versus a hamster, on the hamster wheel, happily running around and round and round and round? And you find that in both situations, both are happy, so you're finding in both situations that both are happy, but at the same time they are equally meaningless. So if you just look at the hamster, he's happy, very, very happy, very running very passionately, but you realize, what is it for? It is purposeless, meaningless. And yes, we might feel adrenaline, we might feel happy for quite a while, but very, very quickly we ask ourselves, for what are we doing this? Right? And if then again I start asking myself this question and I had no answer, I would then stick with my own conclusion that nothing was significant and life was meaningless. Right? So I realized that, no, okay, so looking within did not work. So how should I live? Looking within, which was finding what I was passionate about, did not work. So how should I live? And the worst thing was also, I realized looking within was just pure it was ugly. I don't think there was anything much beautiful inside, objectively, okay, not in a psychological sense where I don't value myself, but I mean, it was just so much selfishness, so much confusion, and all these ugly traits. Looking within gave me the answer, which I did not like. So my question was, how should I live next? And at this point of time, I had fired all my team members because I realized that I needed really, like, my foundation of life was like completely shattered and crumbled, and I had no time to actually give myself some time to think about it. So I just fired everybody and also my clients. But not in a bad way. I did place some of my team members to my clients as well, so that, I mean, all of them are not hurt. I mean, their lives will continue smoothly. But at this point of time, I started to ask myself, how should I live my life? And things have gotten very, very, very philosophical. What should I give my life to? How should I deal with suffering? Am I significant at all? Right? And people gave me answers which I found very, 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 very subjective, right? And it felt as if they've twisted the world in their mind to find meaning or a reason for suffering. So I want to quote from John Milton's Paradise Lost. The mind is its own place, and it itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Right? And I do not understand how they could accept this. Right? So for example, if I ask them, so what's the purpose of life? What are you doing this for? Some would say whatever works for you, whatever works, right? If you're happy, then sure, just go ahead. But everything was just very subjective. Everything was very twisted. It seems like they just conjured up an answer to continue living their own lie, right? And I could not live with that. And definitely I could not find any reliable rock solid truth that I could build my life on. And even though having spent some time understanding the different point of views of different philosophers helped me in many ways, and I could not find answers to the questions that I had. So I explored many different things. Individualism, which is to live for yourself. Utilitarian, find the most important pressing problem on earth and fix it, be the most useful. Hedonism, pleasure. And most of it, had so many loopholes in their point of views, in their worldview, and all of them were just perspectives, very, very subjective, which got me very annoyed because there was no truthful answer. There was no truth. Everything was subjective. And I thought to myself, there must be a universal truth to life. If not, what's the point of living? Is life really meaningless? Our lives are insignificant relative to the cosmos, right? And in desperate search of answers, I decided to read this old dusty book I left on the shelf actually, which my good friend gifted me a while back, called The Purpose-Driven Life by Pastor Rick Warren. And concurrently, I chanced upon this book called A Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, which I spent a good amount of time studying and listening to the audio version. Really helpful book. It talked about morality and whatnot. But this is not the whole point of this video. I'll share more about this book in future videos maybe. But let me continue. So I thought to ask myself. So I had two choices. Number one, I could continue exploring all the different other philosophies. I definitely had not finished exploring all the different philosophers. But that was my option number one, which is to continue on this philosophical journey to find out and study all these great philosophers. That's number one. Number two is, to spend a bit more time on Christianity and find out, what kind of truth does it offer. Because I was born in a Christian family, and I never really understand what truth really meant until recently. And I decided that because growing up in a Christian church, everything was just pure naivety. I made a video on this once, but I thought the reason why I believed that Christianity was true, or why I ought to live in a Christian sense, was because the church said it was true, and my parents said it was true as well. So it's more of a naivety rather than intellectual thought and proper faith. But anyway, so I will not attempt to summarize what I learned in this book here in this video. I will try to share it in future videos. But I will share how it has served me, right? And as of writing, I think as of sharing this video, I think it gave me a glimpse of what truth is. Intellectual, logical standpoint, it points to why Christianity makes a lot of sense. It is not pure naivety. In fact, this whole religion is based off a lot of intellect. It requires a lot of intellect, logic as well, to really understand what this is. And studying all these books by C.S. Lewis, Ravi Zacharias, and speaking to many Christian friends helped me to really strengthen my faith and understand what truth really means. But these two books, or rather what Christianity offered me, was truth, which I was really seeking what that actually was, right? But what it gave me was actually so much more as well: purpose, significance, hope, and a relationship, right? And this is why, for after this whole journey, I realized, I shouldn't be living for myself. In fact, I was living for myself for the past 3-4 years. It brought me depression, right? But I decided to realize that, whatever it is I was about to do next, it was something that would be according to what this my mission on earth is, which I will share probably in another video. But yeah, man, I mean, this whole episode of my life is really interesting because I felt like a complete change inside out. I don't know how to explain it. Because I feel like a completely different person now, honestly. And maybe if you know me 1 year ago, and if you look at me now, it's a completely different person, and I hope to as well, actually. So yeah, I mean, this is just an update of my life, and also kind of like my little story that I just want to share with the world. And I am on a journey to, better understand Christianity a lot better, strengthen my faith, and I'm also working on this Christian startup that I felt called to help, and not sure what is there as well. Just placing a whole lot of faith there. I asked God for signs, and there was a lot of signs that He showed me, and just putting one foot forward, no, 2 steps forward, and see what God has shown me. Because I mean, I did ask for signs, and He did show me. So I thought, let's put both foots forward and see what is there, what is in store for me as well. So yeah, I just want to wrap up this video, and I think moving forward, I will still be sharing a lot of marketing, and I just think that life is so interesting that I just went through this. I felt like I just went through this whole cycle of, the past 3 years. I just felt like it just God trying to tell me that, like, I mean, I understand the context of Christianity now, I would say, right? Why there's a need for Christianity, what is the need for religion, what is the need for God, what is the need for truth, and this gives light, this gives significance to what Christianity has. So that's all for this video. It is an interesting one. I hope you give you an update a bit of my life, and in the future weeks it'll be getting a little bit more busy for me as I work on more projects for this Christian company, this Christian startup. But I will be sharing a little bit more about my life, walk with God as well, and entrepreneurship definitely. So yeah, that is all, and I hope to see you in my future videos.